You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
I'm Chris Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the big show. We certainly appreciate you guys coming by. Thanks for tuning in. As always, thanks for being part of the Chris Voss Show. Refer it to your family, friends, and relatives. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss one on the TikTok, and all those crazy places on the internet. We had an amazing, prolific author on the show with us today. We're going to be talking to her about her newest novel called The Main Character. Jaclyn Goldis joins us on the show with us today, and she is going to be enlightening you on her amazing new book that's just hot off the presses, May 21st, 2021. Jaclyn is a graduate of the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, and New York University School of Law. She practiced estate planning law at a large Chicago firm for 7 years before leaving her job to travel the world and write novels. Boy, that sounds like a better deal. After culling her possessions into only what would fit into a backpack, she traveled for over a year until settling in Tel Aviv, where she can often be found writing from cafes near the beach. She's the author of The Chateau and now The Main Character. Welcome to the show, Jaclyn. How are you?
Thank you so much, Chris. I'm thrilled to be here, and I'm doing great.
Thank you. Welcome to the show. Give us your .coms. Where do you want people to find you on the interwebs?
I'm at jaclyngoldis.com and on Instagram at jaclyngoldis.com.
There you go. Sounds like you've had quite the fun on your journey to becoming an author. Give us a 30,000 overview of what's inside your new book.
So my new book is a thriller set on the Orient Express as it rolls down the western coast of Italy. It's about a reclusive, mysterious author named Ginevra X, and she has this very unique way of writing her big best-selling thrillers, which is that she hires real people to be her main characters, and she pays them a lot of money, interviews them, and then fictionalizes their lives. And her latest main character is a girl named Rory, and Ginevra has just gifted her an extravagant trip on the Orient Express, and Rory's thrilled, but very surprised when she steps onto the train and sees people she recognizes that she didn't know were going to be there. So she sees her brother, her best friend, and her ex-fiance. They've all been invited by Ginevra. They're all hiding secrets. And the train traverses down through Cinque Terre, Rome, Positano. But as it does so, Rory increasingly feels like she's the real life main character on this trip plotted by the author, and secrets and lies and deceptions mount, and she begins to fear that the trip's going to end like one of the author's books, with a murder or two.
Murder, you say? Yeah, something. Secrets and stuff. There you go. The suspense is lovely there. And then, of course, you wrote the Chateau last year, and When We Were Young, 2021. I was still old in 2021, so I'm not sure what that book's about.
Oh.
How many books do you have under your belt?
Well, I wrote my first novel at 17, and I definitely never want that book to see the light of day. I call them my practice novels, that I also wrote a couple in my 20s. So When We Were Young is my first published book, and now The Main Character will be my second thriller.
Congratulations. So tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you grow up? When did you start writing? When did what influenced you to become a writer? Maybe when did you finally know you had a knack for it?
Yeah, well, I grew up in Michigan, and since my earliest memory, I've always wanted to be a writer. I was, always writing stories as a kid, always reading. First novel at 17. So really it was like always my dream to become a published author. But I think I knew that you don't really graduate college at 22 and have enough life experience or finances to make a full-time career as an author. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of went down a different path, the law path, which actually I think that law and writing have a lot of the same skill sets, at least the type of law I practiced. And in a weird way, I like to call my legal career sort of like my MFA, because I learned so much about writing from my legal career. And that was my roundabout way into eventually writing.
There you go. And so was it scary when you quit your law work and decided to go backpacking around the world? What was the proponent behind that?
It was terrifying, absolutely terrifying. I was living in Chicago at the time, and I'm very much a summer person. And I think that fact made it a little bit easier to leave this very secure, stable job that it was the year I'd go up for partnership. So, it's what people work their whole lives, I guess, to attain. And I was there, and then to leave, I think a lot of people thought I was crazy. And I think a lot of people also think it was half, like maybe half the people I worked with thought I was crazy, and half were like secretly envious. But
half crazy, but we're jealous of how crazy she is.
Yeah. But yeah, it was absolutely terrifying, because I had no idea what my life was going to look like in a month or a year, or if it was going to work, pursuing my dreams. And so, yeah.
So what prompted that? What was the motivator behind that? Did you just say, I'm sick and tired of everything, and this isn't my life plan?
It never felt like my life plan. And I think increasingly as it went along, I felt like I was living almost someone else's life. Like it didn't feel in my soul what I was supposed to be doing. And I think as the years went on, it was eating away at me, that I was making really good money. So it was like a safe thing that was so hard to leave, but I knew it wasn't. I don't know if this makes sense, but the bigger life. Like I wanted the bigger life, the life that had, I knew that I was going to have to risk for it. And so eventually it felt like I had to take that leap.
There you go. Are you mind if I ask if you're Jewish? Because you moved to Tel Aviv after touring the world.
Yeah, I am Jewish. And I
that
come
helps
here.
If you're Jewish there, I think.
Yes.
But it's an interesting place, and I know that sometimes you have bombs coming in, so it can be a little scary there. But I hear life is kind of interesting there. People kind of I don't know if they get used to it, or if they just kind of go, well, whatever. I've heard that the clubs are fun and people are fun there because they're like, we could die tomorrow, so we'll just have fun. I don't know if that's true or not.
It is very much a grab life kind of society, because it's a lot of, especially this past year, war and death. And
unfortunate year, definite. But on your Instagram, do you still travel? I'm seeing your Instagram, seeing you dining at different places. Are you still traveling and doing all that?
So I backpacked for, over a year, which was so fun. And then eventually I was like, I want a home again. It was like between like hostels and Airbnbs, and I don't know, it was really fun, but I'm a tourist. I like to be grounded. So I traveled. I go back to the States mostly to see family, and it's fun being based in Europe. So it's like a different kind of short-term trips that are available, but not traveling as like I did before.
There you go. Well, do you feel like the traveling that you did kind of really gave you some, what would be the right word for this, but like it gave you some concepts for, your books and the work you want to take and do? You kind of got the life experience there, and maybe viewing some of those different places gave you some of the topics for, scenarios or characters or settings in your books?
Wow, 100%. I mean, my books always start with setting, and maybe because I live abroad and I love traveling, but I think it's so fascinating. I write American characters abroad, and I think it's really interesting to explore the cultural conflicts and just, setting characters in a place different from where they grew up just automatically and invites kind of fun situations to play with. And I love armchair traveling as a reader. So I think as a writer, it's just so fun to immerse myself in a world different from mine.
There you go. And it gives you, we have a lot of novelists that come on the show and they go, I usually set my settings in some place where I need to travel to do research. I just tell the book publisher, I have to go to Italy for this new scenario and probably stay there for a while, and you'll have to pay for it. So for research.
It's a perk of being an author, that's for sure.
There you go. So you hit success with your books, and on this new book, what gave you some of the what were some of the things that gave you the ideas to come up with the setting, the suspense, the murder, maybe. You got to read the book, folks. What gave you some of the settings of how you built out the layout of the book and what the characters are going to be up to?
Well, I won't give you any spoilers. One of the things that came to me first about this book was the last scene. I saw it really vividly in my mind. And so that helped shape a lot of the book. That certainly doesn't always happen. My last book, the last scene came like months after I finished it. It took a while to figure it out. This book actually, well, it was inspired by some of my travels in Italy. So Cinque Terre is one of my favorite places. And I knew I wanted a book that like took place a little bit there. So scenes there were super fun. Also, I love Rome. So writing scenes there were just really fun. My dad is from the Soviet Union, and I ended up incorporating a story, like a subplot kind of that was set a bit in the Soviet Union of the 1980s. And that was really fun to, it's not about him, but there's some loose inspiration there from his life. And that was really fun to incorporate in this book.
There you go. What do you think readers are going to enjoy the most in the book?
You know, I, as a reader, love happy murder mysteries. Like that, I don't know if that's a genre, but I'm inventing it.
Who hurt you? Jeez.
Yeah, it's like fun murder. To me, fun glamorous escapism, international setting, suspense. Like that to me is just so fun. And that's what I like to read, and it's what I like to write. So
people who hang out with you should always keep an eye on you. I think that's probably a good idea.
They should. ChatGPT, if they're feeding anything to the FBI, I'm in trouble. Because
fun murder. There you go. Maybe that could be the name of an interesting book. Fun Murder.
You're right. Ooh.
There you go.
I actually like that. Yeah.
the Fun Murder. People.
I'll credit you.
What's that fun murder, please? Yeah. There you go. So there you go. Now these are standalone books. There's no carryover from any other characters.
No, they're standalone. With my last book, I do get asked a lot about like, would there be a sequel? And so I've pondered, but no plans right now.
There you go. I'm going through some of the reviews. I have to be careful I don't give away anything because the reviews did. It's one reviewer said it's similar to Murder on the Orient Express. Is that a fair evaluation?
So definitely Murder on the Orient Express is one of my favorite Christies, is one of most people's favorite Christies. I mean, it's like an incredible classic. And I had actually seen the starting point for this book was that I had read an article in one of the travel publications saying that the Orient Express trains had been refurbished to look like they did in the golden age of train travel, you know, in the early 20th century, and that they were now running across Europe. And I was like, oh my God, that'd be so fun to do, you know, a murder mystery set on the Orient Express. And of course that, you know, calls into a comparison to Christie's, but I think that mine's completely different. Like beside the murder aspect and the train, you know, the Orient Express, there's not much similar, but I think it's really fun to do this kind of little homage.
What was that one train movie that was funny? Throw Mama from the Train. Any Throw Mama from the Train sort of, I don't know. That was more of a comedy than a suspense novel.
Oh, I don't think I've seen that one.
Throw 'Em Off the Train it had Danny DeVito, the little guy, and it had the other comedy dude, and it was a play on I think it was an Alfred Hitchcock movie about trading murderers.
Oh, is that Strangers on a Train? No.
I believe it might be Strangers on a Train. That actually sounds really familiar. Let me pull it.
Oh, I didn't know Danny DeVito was in that.
Well, this Strangers on a Train, I believe was the original. Let me see here. And it's Alfred Hitchcock, and they trade a murder.
Right.
If I recall right. Yeah. So Strangers on a Train was redone. That was originally done in 1951 with Alfred Hitchcock, but they redid it as it was called. What did I reference it earlier ago? Throw Mama from the Train. It's basically a redo.
That sounds so good.
Yeah. Only it's more of a comedy, but it still has that dark Throw Mama from the Train. But it had Danny DeVito and Billy Crystal in it. And it's just...
Oh my God, that sounds excellent. I'm going to watch that.
You got to watch the movie.
Yes.
It's hilarious.
that's going on my screen this week.
So it looks like a lot of people loved it, the reviews and everything else. What's the future hold for you? Have any new books you're cooking yet, or are you still working on getting this one out and wrapping up the PR tours?
Yeah, no, I sold 2 more books to my publisher. So I'm trying to do a book a year. So my book coming out next year is called The Safari, and it's a murder mystery set in a luxe safari in South Africa in Kruger National Park. And it's about a glamorous family that goes there on vacation, and one of them is murdered, and they all are kind of locked inside this like luxury lodge investigating each other.
The whodunit maybe sort of thing?
Yep. Exactly.
There you go. Well, you killed it on your first book, and your second book, The Chateau, really people just love the bonkers out of it. So 11,002 ratings on Goodreads. 53,000 people want to read it on Goodreads. That's pretty amazing. And then 1,055 ratings. I think these are U.S. ratings on Amazon. So they loved it. And so I'm sure they're going to love your new book. Give us your final thoughts, pitch out to people to pick up your new book as it comes out.
I think that, I've been thinking about this a lot lately, is like reading gives me so much joy. And I like to read kind of usually more lighthearted, meaningful, escapist books. And I just hope that this book would give that to a reader looking for the same kind of fun, joyful experience. Yeah.
There you go. And there might be murder. You'll have to read the book.
There might be murder.
There might be murder.
Maybe even more than one.
Murder, you say? Oh, whoa! There was a tip off foreshadowing if there was one, but maybe. So there could be no murder. You don't know.
Maybe.
You got to read the book. People buy it. There you go. So, Jaclyn, thank you very much for coming on the show. Give us your .com so people can find you on the interwebs.
Thank you so much for having me. I am JaclynGoldis.com and mostly on Instagram at Jaclyn Goldis.
There you go. Follow her travails throughout life in Israel, Tel Aviv, and it's interesting. You found a better place in your life. I think a lot of people like that, these sort of stories where people are doing something they just hate and they don't like, and they go, I want to do something different, and they take that risk, and their life changes better, and now you're changing other people's lives.
Oh,
especially
thank
when
you.
you write murder in your books.
Yeah.
See what I said up there? So thank you very much, Jaclyn, for coming on the show. Thanks for audience for coming on the board with us for the day. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about at this point. I'm just lost at the end here. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss and all this crazy place on the internet. Thanks for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you next time. Oh, I just forgot.